So this next drill is an awesome way to pick up the intensity level, get these guys battling. This is continuous 2v2s. So a continuous drill similar to what we know as West Jenny, where it just continues to roll. But in this case, we only need one cage. So the way this will work is the coach will start with the ball up here top center, okay? He can pass to any of these 4 lines really, but let's say that Brown in this case is gonna start on offense. So if that was the case, this coach would have already told the first 2 people for green to step out across the field and play defense. This coach is now going to throw a pass to either one of the first 2 guys. So let's say he throws it to this top line. So they have the ball. The first 2 in brown, the first 2 in green, they're going to play 2v2, all right? For boundaries, there's no, like, they can use the full field, but ideally we're going to start to work on our 2-man games. This is the place we want to do it, on the wing. So we don't necessarily want to work on like sweeping across the field. An easy way to keep their attention on this is to think of an imaginary line down the center of the field. Try not to cross this. Brown team, try not to cross this. Green, when you're on offense, you're going to try to stay on this side. So they're worried about playing high-low and, of course, getting to the middle, but not necessarily sweeping. All right? The drill flow with this is that you play offense, then you play defense, and then you're out. So these 2 first players for Brown in this case, they're going to attack. Let's say this person tries to dodge, this person tries to cut through, whatever happens. A shot, right, a turnover, whatever. The coach is going to blow the whistle, dead, and immediately throw the ball to one of these 2 green, okay? So what that's going to mean is the 2 people that just played defense, right, in this case green, they're out of the drill. They're just going to jog to the back of the line. The 2 brown that just played offense are immediately going to sprint over to the other side of the field and set up for defense, right? So all that has to happen, right, as that ball gets thrown in. Let's say he passes it to the lower line, right? This guy comes down and sets a pick. They try to run a 2-man game, right? Whatever coaching cue you want to implement there, that's fine. But the drill flow is key here, because what usually happens with this drill is kids forget that they have to play defense, right? They'll play offense. It'll look pretty good. You have a 2-on-2 happening, but the key to having this be continuous is that they know as soon as that ball hits the ground, right, or a shot happens, or a turnover, or the play starts to slow down and the coach isn't happy with it, he can blow that whistle dead and they immediately react to play defense. So that is the #1 focal point as you start this drill. This setup is a really easy way to start progressing into a 3v3, right? We can build into more things there as well. But just by adding a 3rd line in the center, right, these guys may be a little closer to GLE, these guys pretty high up by the top of the box, and these guys right on the center of the wing. Same exact drill flow as the continuous 2v2s, but now we have 3v3, right? In this case, maybe we're a little bit lenient, right, on trying to stay on this side of the field. As soon as that ball gets thrown in, let's say Brown's on offense first, 3 green would already be out here knowing who they have as a matchup. That gets played out. Immediately, the coach is going to blow the whistle and pass it to one of these green offensive players. And Brown is going to react from playing offense to playing defense. Okay, so you always, when you're at the front of the line, you're going to play offense first, then you're going to play defense, and then you're going to be out. Okay, so we could progress this to 4, right, where maybe we have 4 lines, or maybe we just have 2 lines and you send the first 2 players from each line, right? That's a good way to start progressing into more of like a settled style of play, all right, a 4v4. The other thing to do here is incorporate a very, very similar concept to West Jenny. So instead of this being a continuous 3v3, this would be a continuous 3v2, right? And to the same style of West Jenny, let's say green's on offense, right? There's only going to be 2 defenders now. So now that becomes into a 3-on-2. As soon as this thing plays out, the last person to touch it on green would be out, and the other 2 players are going to come over here and play defense for the 3v2. All right, so very, very similar concept to West Jenny, but you have this side-to-side aspect to it that gives the players a different look, and we really want to start emphasizing dodging and attacking and utilizing the wings and lower areas of the field as our points of attack, because top center dodges at the higher levels start to get less and less effective as sliding becomes more effective for defenses. So this is a really good environment to start putting them in that situation in a fun and competitive environment. This next drill, I call clear to shot. There's a lot of different ways to set this up, but I love this because it uses the entire field and it gets everybody involved. So we can have players go through all these positions. You know, you'd argue this would be more of a defender's role. You know, these are midfielders, this is an attackman. But regardless, the skills that require each of these different spots are going to be beneficial for everybody. So what we'll do here is we're really just looking at this half of the field, okay? So the goalie starts with the ball. This first person is going to banana curl out and away, and here comes that first pass. All right, so now this player has the ball. They're going to catch and move upfield. Right, this midfielder is going to cut directly to the ball from center field, right, and that ball is going to move from defender to midfielder. Once this midfielder is starting to cut to the ball, this midfielder is starting to set up an upfield run. So they're going to step in, aka a little bit of a V cut, and then they're going to cut upfield, right? And now this pass will move from here to here. Okay, this is the shooting line. All right, so this player that catches this ball coming upfield, they're going to end up shooting. But before they do that, they're going to work on a give and go. So this can be one of your attackmen that you're just designating as a feeder. This could be a coach. All right, but basically once this ball gets into this player's stick, they're going to pass it right down here to this attackman in the corner. Right, if this is one of my attackmen, I'm definitely going to want them to practice their V cut and the timing behind that as well. After this pass is thrown, this is one of the nuances of this. I don't just want to cut on a straight line to where I already know I want to go. You know, that's not necessarily bad, right? But this pass gets thrown back, right, from the attackman. That's going to be a catch and a shot. But this is an opportunity to teach some of the nuance of timing your cut and being a little bit more deceptive. So if I'm teaching this midfielder who just caught it and passed it down, what I want them to do is start cutting to the middle of the field, maybe at a casual pace, and then cut hard to this player that's going to actually end up feeding to them. All right, and that's going to be a realistic or a more realistic scenario that plays out that we could actually get a good shot. This player can then catch, make a move, or catch and shoot depending on where they end up. All right, but we want their momentum to go towards the cage to finish. All right, so the nuance of this drill would be more so on the actual catch and shot, whereas the setup is really to get as many people involved as possible. All right, and this is a good drill to get the whole team involved because I can set this exact same thing up on the other side of the field. All right, so I would just have another cone here, a cone here, here, and here. Right, where after that shot happens, right, the goalie is going to outlet it to here, and the same exact progression is going to take place. You can have both these sides running at the same time, right? And this is, again, a great way to have the entire team involved in a drill. There should be a lot of communication, right? Loud talking between everybody, right? And some purposeful cutting, right? It's not just get to the cone, catch and throw, right? Wherever you want to go, try to cut opposite first and implement some of those tactics to be more deceptive, right? And take space in the clearing game.
The best players in the world kicking things off here. What an amazing setting with Gillette as the backdrop.
Over the last decade, Gillette Stadium has become known as the premier destination in professional sports.
To be, in a really special lacrosse community in Massachusetts and outside of Boston, there'll be all sorts of emotions going into that weekend.
To walk into Gillette for opening weekend, I mean, that is as professional as it gets.
The last drill we're going to go over today, I call this pressure 2v1s. This is a build-up drill so we can add more players to this as we go. In this first example, a 2v1, we're inside of a circle. Even for the older group, we can do this inside the crease itself. So just by moving the cage out of the crease, it creates this boundary system for us to play within. And what we're focusing on is handling pressure, okay? In tight spaces, that's one of the reasons why box lacrosse has so many advantages for field lacrosse players, is because you're forced to play in a tighter area. So by focusing our attention on putting them into a smaller space, they are forced to encounter more of these pressure handling situations. So in this drill, what's going to happen is the ball is going to get rolled in by the coach. So these three players, 2 versus 1, are already in there. That doesn't mean the 2 automatically are on offense. That doesn't mean the 1 is automatically on defense. It starts with a ground ball. right? So whoever wins that ground ball, of course, is on offense, and it's a keep away. So it's essentially just a keep away drill. How do you win? You win by maintaining possession. There's no goal, right? From the coach's perspective, we want short repetitions, 10, maybe 15-second reps, and their job is to try to stay in bounds and maintain possession. If the team of one wins the ball, same idea. They're trying to keep it away. Of course, they don't even have the option of passing it to a teammate, so they're just trying to run away and not get pushed out of bounds and not get the ball taken away. What we want to understand from the coach's perspective is drill flow, prioritizing that these next 3 players, let's say they're next up, they should already know who's on the team of 1 and who's on the team of 2. So as soon as the coach decides that that rep is over, they jog out, these 3 players jog in, the ball's rolled, go, right? So we're minimizing that time in between reps. So they can already talk about that. We also want to emphasize that whether you're a short stick, long pole, you want to try to get repetitions on the team of 1 and on the team of 2. It's going to be beneficial. All right. When it comes to the skill set that we're teaching here, we want to try to prioritize how to close off, right, and have your stick be on the other side of your body from the defender's perspective. So if you are the one who is pressuring me right now, this is the position I want to be in, right? By staying square to you, eventually you pressuring me, I'm going to get my heels against the out of bounds line, and I have very limited options. I'm probably going to either get pushed out or throw a pass before I'm really ready to. So I'm training these athletes to turn, be able to, in a low position, take a check, but now I have 2, right, legitimate options of directions to go. I can go forward, right, and run, or I can go and roll, right? So this is another example of, teaching our athletes that you don't always have to switch hands when you go to your weak side. So as a righty, when I go to the left, this is the perfect environment to practice coming across my face, handling pressure on this right shoulder, and throwing a backhander pass, right? These little flip passes, right? Handling and being composed in this smaller space is going to be crucial, because when they step onto the bigger field, their confidence level is going to be through the roof, all right? So now what we can do is just imagine that this, instead of this being the crease, this is the soccer circle at midfield, so we've got much more space to work with. And now we're going to turn this into a 3-on-2 drill. The drill flow is exactly the same. Coach rolls the ball in, all right, starts with the ground ball. If the team of 2 wins it, right, now they can utilize each other and play pass if needed. If the team of 3 wins it, of course they have an advantage, but the team of 2 should be working extremely hard the entire time to either pick a pass off or push them out of bounds, right? And that's where I think the timing comes into play, where not letting that rep go more than 10 to 15 seconds, because we want to urge them to go really, really hard while they're in the drill, and they can rest while they're on the sideline. And then, of course, same idea. Instead of these 3 players communicating, these 5 players would communicate. So as soon as the coach deems that rep done, the next 5 players already know who's on the team of 3 and who's on the team of 2, and they can get right into it, right? With this small-sided of a game, you don't even need to have like jersey colors flipped and stuff like that. They should know. You either have 1 teammate or you have 2 teammates. They can communicate through that. I've done this drill with younger ages where the jersey colors have all been matched, and it works just fine, all right? So in this environment, it's our opportunity as the coach to force them to experience that high pressure situation. And again, the hope is that when they step onto the larger field, their confidence is going to be up. All right, guys, so that's our coach's training session for the 5th through 8th grade. Hopefully, a couple of these drills are things that you can utilize as the season gets started. Obviously, we're in an interesting circumstance right now. We're not exactly sure when things are going to kick off, but hopefully by communicating with your teams and getting the ball rolling, when we do start practice, you guys can hit the ground running. We are here, the MBYLL, myself, as a resource to you. So if you guys do have questions and there's certain things either about this video or any other drills that you'd like us to try to help out with, please utilize communicating with us, because again, we're here as a resource, and we'd like to add as much value as possible. Thanks for your time and attention. Hope this helps.